They're back! Have you heard about the reunion tour? You know how classic bands or classic artists from the past, they'll come together years later and go on a reunion tour? Next year, for example. Next year, Oasis, they are going on a reunion tour. We've seen it in the past with Van Halen. We have seen it with groups like the Backstreet Boys and the Spice Girls. If you want to be my lover, women have to be men. Years after their prime, years after the groups have broken up, they'll come together and tour the country, giving people a blast from the past. Oftentimes, these tours are highly successful. People like nostalgia. They like things that remind them of their childhood or their lifestyle when they were in their 20s. In some cases, the performers still have it. In other cases, they don't. But it really doesn't matter because the night, it is more about remembering old memories and possibly making new memories. Over the past couple of days, we have been graced with the presence of another reunion tour organized by a legendary group of failure. I'm sure you guys fondly remember the summer of woke love 4 years ago. You know, those were the good old days. Those warm summer evenings where you could open up your window and smell the fresh metal burning outside. You could hear the sounds of the streets as business owners were agonizing over the destruction of their businesses. Who could forget the sounds of the sirens coming from the police cars that were set on fire? Or what about the time a group of passionate, peaceful protesters stormed a police precinct in Minneapolis and completely took it over? Good times, good times. I don't know about you guys, but I miss those days. Those were the days of our lives. Those days were so magical. Freddie Mercury, he wrote a song about them 40 years before it happened. If you find yourself missing the days of woke love, I got some great news for you. Since it's the holiday season, Uncle KC brings you good tidings of fake joy. Our friends from Black Lives Matter, they have risen from the ashes. After years of speculation that BLM was bankrupt, after years of speculation that the business of mythical racism was going out of business, our friends at BLM, they have reunited to revitalize the business of mythical racism. They are reestablishing their foundation. They are creating jobs for people like Jamel Hill. They are providing job security for the Wicked Weave Joy Reid. More importantly, they are touring the streets of New York City to protest the injustice of Daniel Penny being acquitted for defending and possibly even saving innocent lives. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Quick FYI before we move on, I often receive emails from men in this audience and sometimes ladies shopping for their men asking me where I buy all my clothes. I wear several different brands, but my primary brand is Columbia. Matter of fact, I am wearing a Columbia pullover right now. If you want to support the channel while also buying Uncle KC's preferred brand, you can do so now by clicking the product section right below this video. One of the reasons that Columbia is my preferred brand, their clothes are comfortable and they're good for various types of weather. Their jackets or pullovers keep me warm in the winter, but I can still wear the long sleeve dry fit tees during the summer and not be sweating my ass off. So, if you want to support the channel while also buying nice clothes for the men in your family for Christmas, click the products tab below and start shopping at Columbia today. I'm sure you guys know by now that Daniel Penny was acquitted of his charges by a jury in New York City. Now, for those that don't know, Daniel Penny, he is the Marine that was charged in the death of Jordan Neely. This was the subway case from last year where Daniel Penny defended himself and other passengers from an aggressive Jordan Neely. Daniel Penny subdued him, and sadly, Jordan Neely lost his life that day. With Daniel Penny being acquitted of these charges, the leaders of BLM, they have suddenly resurfaced. They have come out of hiding. They have re-entered the mainstream after years of obscurity. And the leaders of BLM, they want you to know that they're real mad. One of the leaders, one of the co-founders of BLM in New York City, Hank Newsome, or Henry Newsome, Hawk Newsome, whatever the hell his name is, he is calling for vigilantes in the black community. Well, KC, what does that even mean? Well, the bad news is he is calling for the black community to fight their oppressors. The good news is no one can find the oppressors because they don't really exist. Another BLM leader, Chivona Newsome, I'm assuming that she is related, she is family to the Henry or the Hawk. Maybe they are a brother and sister. Maybe they're husband and wife. Who in the hell knows how they identify? Maybe they are not even related and they just happen to share the same last name. Maybe it's coincidental. I don't know. Either way, the lovely Chivona, she was a guest with Dan Abrams Monday night on News Nation. Casey, what in the hell is News Nation? You've never heard of News Nation? News Nation is a juggernaut in cable news. The network has grown so much, they are now competing in the ratings with CNN and MSNBC. Now, of course, I don't know how much that competition has to do with News Nation's growth or the massive declines that we are seeing at CNN and MSNBC, which we're going to be talking about later this afternoon. But the real reason that News Nation is famous, it's because they are the official home of the former biggest free agent in the mainstream media, Chris Cuomo. Hey, it's me, Chrissy C! All kidding aside, News Nation has done some good work over the years, and we saw another example of that Monday night. You see, most of the time when leaders of BLM are interviewed by the media, they're allowed to spread their propaganda without consequence. They're allowed to say whatever the hell they want without being questioned about it. Unfortunately, though, for Chivona Newsome, that was not the case Monday night. I would assume that she knew that going into this. I would assume that she knew this would not be an easy interview. To her credit, though, and I'm being serious when I say this, at least she had the courage to show up. At least she had the courage to defend her agenda, no matter how wrong it may be. Dan Abrams, he politely humiliated Chivona Newsome Monday night as she kept trying to explain how a racist jury allowed Daniel Penny to be acquitted. Somehow, Chivona Newsome expects us to believe that a racist jury in one of the wokest cities in America allowed the evil white man to get away with taking the life of an innocent black man. Watch it for yourself.
This was a diverse Manhattan jury. Why? Well, it was 4 people of color. That's known typically as...
I was there during jury selection.
Whether it was
black women were shut out for having unconventional hair, but there were 9 white jurors.
Sorry, is that what they said? They said it was for unconventional hair? Or you're just presuming that?
It was unconventional hair. Why was the expert jury consultant brought in who got off people for OJ, who had a racial child, who brought in Kyle Rittenhouse, a young man who bought an AR-15 and killed Americans exercising their
What does Kyle Rittenhouse have to do with this?
Because the jury expert who clearly got off Daniel Penny today, it's
the jury expert, not the jurors, right? Not the jurors, who heard the case, right?
This woman specialized for 35 years in the psychology of juries.
Right.
She specialized in race.
You know how many of those specialists lose their cases?
Well, not this.
A lot of them. Why is this a race case? Did Daniel Penny say anything racist when it happened?
What is the labeling and the stereotypes? Daniel Penny, when he lied during interrogations, which no one is showing.
But answer my question. When was the race? When did he bring race into this? So do you not blame Jordan Neely at all? I mean, for what he did? He deserves no blame from your perspective, right?
Did you hear the witness testimony?
I'm asking you a question. Why did the jury acquit? Is it because they're racist?
America is inherently biased.
So the jury is racist.
Have you seen the...
I'm asking you a question. No, don't change the subject. Is it because the jury is racist?
Yes.
First of all, let me disprove this false narrative that a juror was disqualified because she was a black woman with purple hair. I'm not doubting that happened. I'm sure it did. And I'm sure it would happen to a white woman with purple hair too. A Hispanic woman with purple hair, an Asian woman with purple hair. Hell, if my dumbass had purple hair, I'm sure I would be disqualified too. Why? Me personally, I have nothing against people with purple hair. If you want to dye your hair purple and identify as a Teletubby, fine with me. But if I am on trial for my life, if I am fighting for my life in a courtroom, I want the people deciding my fate to be serious about what they're doing. If you have purple hair, I'm gonna have doubts about how serious you're gonna take my case. People can say all they want, looks don't matter. That is bullshit, especially in a courtroom. The way you dress, the way you conduct yourself, when someone is fighting for their life, it definitely matters. As you saw in the clip, BLM is pushing the same tired narratives that they were pushing 4 years ago. Like most bands who organize reunion tours, BLM, they are trying to rely on their classics. They're relying on their past hits to resonate with the audience. Unfortunately for them, I don't think it's going to work. For starters, what the hell does Kyle Rittenhouse have to do with Daniel Penny? How come every time there is a case like this, their first line of defense is Kyle Rittenhouse? Let that kid live his life. Dan Abrams kept asking Chivona Newsome to explain why this case involving Daniel Penny was a race case. Outside of the fact that he was white and the victim was black, how exactly was this a racially motivated case? As expected, she could not explain it. And she couldn't explain it because race had absolutely nothing to do with what happened in that subway. You heard Dan Abrams say it. If Jordan Neely were white, this would be a non-story in the media. Towards the end of the clip, Dan Abrams, he asked the co-founder of BLM if she believed America was racist, if she believed this diverse jury in New York City who acquitted Daniel Penny, were they racist? Obviously, her answer was yes. What's even more obvious, she is living in the past. That conjecture, it might work with her pretend friends in the mainstream media. 4 years ago, that conjecture might have worked with some normal people. But today, people are no longer biting into the shit sandwich that America is racist just because you say so. I have watched this 6-minute interview with Dan Abrams and Chivona Newsome several times. Not one time, not once, did she provide a single shred of evidence to her claims. Right now, BLM, they are doing what they do best. They are trying to organize division. They are trying to organize unrest for profit. That's all this is about. Profit. Money. But give me your thoughts on this. Dan Abrams interviews one of the co-founders of BLM in New York City. Now, to her credit, at least she had the courage to show up to get embarrassed. But with BLM reuniting, do you think they will be effective? Are we going to see a winter of woke love similar to the summer of woke love that we saw in 2020? Or do you think BLM has lost all credibility? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Best way to contact me is through email, btlkc84@gmail.com. I'll see you guys later.